This is the only girl on Mars. She only has pets. And a smart robot as her companions. What has she gone through? Let's find out together. At a space base on Mars, a small family consisting of Ilsa and Reza, and their 9-year-old daughter, Remy, are gazing at the bright stars in the sky together. Remy notices one star that is larger and brighter than any other. She knows it's not the moon, and thinks it must be Earth, thousands of kilometers away. The family spends their days working at the base, struggling to survive in the barren environment of this planet. However, a portion of Mars has been terraformed, allowing them to walk outside freely. One day, while Remy and her mother are going about their daily tasks, they are interrupted by the arrival of Reza. He appears exhausted after a scouting trip, but still makes his way to his daughter's room to wish her good night. When Remy asks whether there are others living on Mars, besides their family, Reza tries to reassure her by saying that they are the only ones on the planet. But she cannot help but doubt his words. At midnight, Remy still cannot fall asleep. She gets up and goes to her parents' room. The family gathers together once again. Remy asks her father if he has ever seen animals, and why they came to live on Mars. Reza simply says that he has never seen any animals, and that Earth is no longer the same as it used to be. But it's okay, because someday, this planet will become as beautiful as their old home. The next day, Remy senses something far outside the window. She gets out of bed and heads to the living room. She suddenly sees a message on the window. The message demands that the family leave the house. Her parents discover it and are terrified. Reza even takes out a gun, prepared for any necessary action. Voices of several people can be heard outside the house, but they cannot be seen from inside. For the entire afternoon, the family can only stay inside the house. However, Remy was quite worried about the pig outside, so she decided to summon her courage and go out to check. This pig was also the only creature they had brought from Earth. When Ilsa realized her daughter was missing, she hurriedly ran out to find her, as she shouted for her daughter to come back inside immediately. At that very moment, several strangers rushed in at high speed, trying to capture the girl. But Ilsa appeared just in time, shooting directly at them to save her daughter. Just as another enemy was about to capture Remy, Reza swooped in to rescue her, using all his strength to fight until the attacker was immobilized. The family immediately ran to find shelter. As the attackers started firing from afar, the mother and daughter managed to get inside, and with Ilsa's help, Reza fired a shot at an enemy standing in the sunlight, but only managed to injure his leg. Reza quickly went inside to grab a weapon, and then went back out to investigate the surroundings, while the mother and daughter stayed behind to check the dead attackers. Perhaps this was the first time Remy saw other people besides her parents. Unfortunately, they turned out to be lifeless bodies. The mother and daughter waited all night for Reza to return, but he never came back, leaving them worried for his safety. At times, they could hear gunshots echoing. Could the worst have already happened? The two remained in darkness throughout the night. When morning came, Ilsa armed herself with a knife and cautiously stepped outside to check. But both she and Remy were terrified when they saw an injured man breaking into their house. It was one of the attackers from the previous day. He was the one who had left the message on the window, demanding that the family leave. The man claimed the house originally belonged to his parents, before the family took it over. After years of struggles, he had finally reclaimed his home. He allowed Ilsa and her daughter to stay, on the condition that they not cause any trouble. However, the mother and daughter refused his offer. They fled and hid near the central base. Ilsa took the opportunity to re-enter the house when the man left, grabbing a knife from the kitchen to ambush him. When the man returned, he realized Ilsa's plan, and grabbed her by the hair from behind. During the struggle, Ilsa managed to stab him once. She was overpowered by the man, and he demanded that she give him 30 days of peace, as he had big plans to transform the area, unlocking its full potential for a better life, not just for himself but also for Ilsa and her daughter. In return, Ilsa had only one condition: to bury Reza properly, so that he could rest in peace. The man agreed and buried Reza on a nearby mountain, next to his former comrades. From that day forward, the three of them lived together in the same house. However, Remy remained cautious of the man, as he owned a lot of weapons. One day, when she sneaked into his room, she found a drawing of a woman, the very person her mother had taken down to protect her the previous day. Remy decided to take the drawing and keep it for herself. That evening, the man revealed his name as Jerry, and began a conversation to gain Ilsa's trust. He explained that he had made improvements to the house, allowing the water system to function, which they couldn't do before. The next day, an old exploration robot unexpectedly became active again. Remy was thrilled and named it Stim, making it her pet and first companion. After dinner, Jerry introduced himself properly. He started to open up and tried to build trust with Ilsa. Jerry admitted that he deeply resented her family, as they had killed his parents to take over the place. In the days that followed, The atmosphere in the house became more amicable. Jerry asked Remy if she had taken his drawing, but she denied it, though he knew she was lying. He didn't want to take the drawing back, as he saw that she cherished it like a treasure. Gradually, a physical attraction began to develop between Ilsa and Jerry, something Remy could also see and feel, making her extremely uncomfortable. Because of this, she decided to pack up and leave the place on her own, without even taking Stim along. But Remy's plan to run away didn't go as expected, as she inadvertently hit a force field that acted as a barrier surrounding the area where they could live. Realizing she couldn't go any further, Remy screamed out loud, then decided to return home. However, she stumbled upon a giant door, leading to a very dark corridor. Curious, Remy dared to step inside. After walking a few meters, the door slammed shut behind her. With the help of a flashlight ball, Remy slowly moved forward. But just as she saw light at the end of the tunnel, she fainted from pressure and lack of oxygen. Fortunately, Jerry found her and brought her home. The next morning, when Remy woke up, she and Jerry had a conversation. He told her that there was nothing but rocks and dust at the end of the tunnel. As a habit, Remy marked the passing days with dust on the mirror. A month had passed since her father's death. Although her mother tried to comfort her, it seemed to have little effect. The next day, Jerry found a guitar and asked Ilsa to play a song. Unexpectedly, Ilsa sang the family's favorite song, which made Remy furious. She stormed off and ran into the greenhouse. Seeing this, Ilsa chased after her. There, Remy confessed to her mother that she hated her for changing and finding joy elsewhere. Ilsa, saddened, returned to the house. As promised, Jerry placed a gun on the table, leaving the next decision in her hands. However, when Ilsa pulled the trigger, she realized the gun was empty. It was merely a test from Jerry. When Jerry approached her, Ilsa ran to grab something sharp to defend herself. After a chaotic fight, Jerry was injured and staggered outside, terrified of being killed. Remy tried to flee as fast as she could, but Jerry caught her and demanded that she stay with him. Ilsa was later buried on the same mountain as Reza and others. Now, only 2 people remained on Mars. Years passed, and the two lived together relatively peacefully, improving the house and its surroundings. They even raised pigs, chickens, and grew vegetables, bringing vegetation to many areas of the land. One day, Remy met Jerry at an artificial lake. He urged her to try swimming, then left to give her some privacy. It wasn't until nightfall that Remy decided to bathe in the lake. When she returned to the house, Jerry surprised her with a special gift. It was a drawing of her mother. Seeing her mother's image after so many years brought Remy to tears, and she collapsed into Jerry's arms. However, Jerry took advantage of the moment and kissed her, startling and scaring her. In the days that followed, the atmosphere between the two became more tense. What Jerry wanted now was to ensure the survival of their species on this planet. But Remy outright rejected the idea. She didn't care if they were the last humans in the universe. After a heated argument, Jerry urged her to reconsider his proposal. Stim tried to cheer Remy up by inviting her to play ball, but she refused and went back to her room. Once inside, she was shocked to find Jerry waiting for her, holding her oxygen mask in his hand, a tool she had long prepared for her plan to escape through the tunnel. Jerry angrily walked off with the mask, but Remy tried to retrieve it, desperate to explore the outside world and see everything for herself. Even when Jerry told her there was no one else out there, in a fit of rage, Jerry pressed the mask against Remy's face. The two struggled and she fell unconscious. When she woke up with a head injury, Remy realized she had been tied up, and Jerry was sitting on top of her. He tried to soothe her by apologizing repeatedly, but Remy remained panicked. He told her that there was still hope for humanity, but his words had the opposite effect on Remy, causing her to hyperventilate and struggle on the bed. Her screams only made Jerry angrier. He immediately grabbed a gun and threatened her, saying he would shoot if she didn't calm down. Unexpectedly, Stim, the robot behind him, fired a shot into his neck. Thinking that Remy was in danger, Jerry immediately turned to the robot and destroyed it. In the chaos, Remy managed to untie herself and escape. While Jerry struggled in the kitchen, Jerry suddenly saw Remy pointing a gun at him. Through his reflection in the mirror, he reached for a gun to defend himself, but stopped because of the feelings he had for her. And so, Remy coldly shot him, avenging her parents. The next day, she buried Jerry on the mountain. Remy was now truly alone on this planet. After taking a bath and surveying the surroundings, Remy was certain that no one else would appear. She spent her days alone, watching the animals in her small farm. Her only companion was the distant sight of the small earth, and she wondered if anyone else was there. Out of loneliness, she continued her efforts to repair Stim, and after many attempts, she finally revived it. But Remy never forgot her childhood dream, to explore the world outside the tunnel. Remy decided to say goodbye to Stim, and bid a final farewell to all those who had passed on the mountain. The last image she had of her home was Stim taking care of the pigs. Then, she began her journey into the tunnel. Remy donned her oxygen mask and walked straight ahead. She felt both excited and nervous, anticipating the wonders that awaited her. But just as Jerry had said, all she found was a vast barren wasteland, with no trace of human civilization, only dust and sand. The tunnel door had closed behind her, leaving no way to turn back. What do you think about this movie? Don't forget to like and subscribe to support Mao Mao for more new films every day. Thank you for watching.